where the rumor mill was churned up again last night. Everybody was talking about what happened on campus and what's going to be the outcome. Bryn Stoll, who was covering it for The Advocate, does great work for The Advocate, and congratulations to your organization and your coworkers for the Pulitzer Prize that was taken home by The Advocate yesterday. Bryn, welcome to the conversation, sir.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Also, support local journalism. The Advocate's rolling out a new little digital subscription thing, super cheap. Help guys like Bryn and everybody over there at The Advocate bring you the coverage that you love so much about all your favorite local news.
Bryn, with that introduction, give us the news.
Yeah, thanks for the plug, guys.
Give us the investigative reporting that you took away from yesterday's Board of Supervisors meeting.
I mean, honestly, not much.
Okay, thank you. There it is.
And that was Bryn Stoll, The Advocate, Pulitzer Prize.
I mean, I had heard ahead of time that they were expecting to get a briefing of some sort on what's going on with the Wade situation. But they essentially came together. They went immediately into closed door executive session to talk about pending or potential litigation. That's all they'd say, and they met for about an hour behind closed doors. Then they came back out and split up. And I tried to bird dog some of them in the parking lot, and nobody was feeling very chatty. So I don't know. I don't have a good sense. I mean, obviously, Alleva's contract's coming up. Wouldn't be shocked if that had been discussed, but I don't know. And they're still sort of navigating in some dicey territory with Coach Wade.
And in your experience, I don't know if you've covered these Board of Supervisors meetings before. I feel like a lot of the rumors you always hear originate from people on the board talking. Like, is it odd for the meeting to be as tight-lipped as it seems like it was yesterday?
Yeah. That's. I mean, I haven't covered a ton of them, but like my understanding is that they're usually at least will give you sort of a vague summary of what was discussed or something like that, and literally they would say nothing but litigation. And that was it. You know, whether this was frat lawsuits or what, I have no idea.
Bryn Stoll joining us here, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, 100.3 ESPN New Orleans, 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
So Bryn had, if you missed it, he had an excellent article a few weeks ago where he read thousands of pages of court documents giving you like a full breakdown of the Wade situation and the federal case that Wade is currently involved in. Now, Bryn, that case is set to begin April 22nd.
Yeah, it's Monday.
Yeah, so right now, obviously, the prosecution, they're trying to bar Wade and Miller from having to testify. The defense is trying to maintain that their testimony is relevant. Do you have any read on maybe which direction you think that is going to end up going?
That's a tough guess. I mean, the judge at there was a previous trial of these same defendants back in October, and the judge in that case slammed the door pretty hard on bringing in any testimony about cases about kind of their conversations beyond what was specifically at issue at the trial. But they also tried to backdoor that very, very late in that case, and they hadn't done nearly as much pre-trial litigation on that. So I mean, it could always go the other way. I think probably the safer bet is that it might end up going the same way that the October trial went, which would mean that they're not going to get into it. But there's a chance. I mean, it's really hard. I have a hard time trying to guess that one.
At Bryn Stoll on Twitter, Bryn Stoll joining us here off the bench. Tell me what you learned in reading those documents.
Well, it was a pretty massive FBI investigation into it focused almost exclusively on Adidas, which was kind of an interesting twist. It all got started when they busted the feds on unrelated charges. Busted a guy named Marty Blazer, who's a financial planner out of Pittsburgh, and they had him on the hook, and he was trying to get a lighter sentence. He set them up with this Christian Dawkins guy and a couple of somewhat dirty financial managers out of New York, and that sort of created this whole. The FBI got some undercover agents involved, and they kind of essentially bankrolled Christian Dawkins's little sports management company, and then it all came crashing down. So I was really surprised the degree to which the shoe companies bankroll everything.
Wow.
Allegedly, but obviously that's maybe I was just being naive.
Talking to Bryn Stoll here at Bryn Stoll on Twitter, BRYNSTOLE. One of the odd parts to me, Bryn, is that like when these cases first broke, we were talking like 7 years of jail time, 10 years of jail time. Like, this is real. This is going to be super impactful. And then the sentencing judge kind of pointed out, I feel like, a little bit how flimsy the prosecution's case is trying to argue. And you did an excellent job of laying this out in your article. The prosecution is trying to argue that these schools are being defrauded, right? Like, that's kind of a tough sell at this point. Do you think, like, does the FBI, do they ever sit back and say, like, was it worth it? Like, we put all these resources into it. There's been no real changes anywhere, and a couple of guys got like 6 to 9 months in prison.
Yeah, I've wondered that. I mean, so the way federal sentencing usually works in fraud cases is it's your jail time is usually a function of how much money was involved from the fraud. And we're talking about, at most athletic scholarships, the assistant coaches that they nailed and got to agree to plea deals. I mean, we're talking bribes in the thousands of dollars, or maybe 10,000, which that in the grand scheme of things for federal fraud is basically nothing. I mean, federal fraud, we're often talking millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the potential jail time they were facing from the get-go, the max, it can be up there in the years, but they're really, I mean, most people I think are going to end up doing a number of months. Which I really do wonder if that was potentially a weight on the investigation. I don't know what exactly they tried to do, but if you're trying to flip these guys up the chain, which is how federal investigations often work, is they try to nail a bunch of the kind of the small fry in the scheme, and then they flip them up on someone else. And I don't know if they were trying to get to executives at Adidas or head coaches at colleges, but when you all you have to hang is a few months of jail time over someone's head,
Sure.
It's a lot harder to get them to turn.
Looks like the one that's going to do the hardest time out of this whole deal is going to be Aunt Becky. I mean, like, she's in some trouble, man. Bryn, you're doing great work, man. Thank you for the time this morning. We look forward to patching back up with you down the line and getting some more information on this, because this looks like a story that's going to continue to develop.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
All right, Bryn, take
there
it
he
easy.
is, Bryn checking in, Bryn Stoll from The Advocate. Checking in, read his work, and follow him on Twitter at Bryn Stoll. We'll be back and close that hour number 1.